CS project level rename. So again, this is the same thing with the double click where like, why didn't we have that a long time ago? It turns out you can rename stuff. And if you decide to rename your application, so if I go do this, F2 to do that, and I change this to application, and I hit enter, then in the past, I had to go ahead and open up the properties file, look at the properties of that project, and then I have to go make sure I update the namespace inside the application to match, oh, wow, look at that. They actually took the time to take the project name and render it inside the assembly name and the default namespace. So when I created a new file, it actually used the name of my project. It's remarkable. I mean, this is truly, I'd like to have a can for this. This is remarkable. Yeah. And what's interesting about this one is it made the change, but it's actually not gone ahead and updated my CS proj file. My CS proj file is exactly what it was, which means it's actually calculating the value of what should be in that dialog from the name of your project file. It's, again, quite phenomenal. But if you decide you want to override it, you could, of course, go change the settings, and then it'll embed additional property groups, property values inside your MS build. I'm going to go ahead and change that back. One thing to note before I change it, you'll notice that because I made that change, it doesn't go update all my namespaces. So my namespace here is still sample app. It doesn't change the source code. It just changes the project file and how the project file renders inside Visual Studio. It's not going to go through all your source code. You change the project name, and now it's going to have to update 1,000 files because you've got a bunch. So it's not going and doing that to go do that rename. But you can do a rename inside Visual Studio. So here it knows. In this case, hey, you've changed your application to be called this. Would you like me to go rename that namespace? And then it'll go ahead and do that throughout your project. Yes, question?
One thing that does affect, though, is like resource files.
Yes.
That leverage the default namespace.
Yes. So the comment was, one thing you should be concerned about is if you go change your project name and you're using the project name, the namespace within your resource files, it's not updating those. And again, the issue here is it's not making changes to source code when you change your project name. So all namespaces are still incorrect. I don't know the answer to this, but if you actually use rename refactoring, this right here, will it update the resource file when you do that? And I don't know the answer to that question. So I would hope it does, but I can't say for sure that would happen. As part of this, there is a Control RR feature that is new to 2019. So it can go to this. I can say Control RR, and it'll pop up and do the rename. So this is the rename feature and specifying how far you want to do rename. Again, I think we've been doing rename for a long time. I don't see this as particularly revolutionary. But you can do that in such a way that it's prompting you, hey, do you want to go through this rename? And what do you want to go apply that change to? I tend, personally, to make the rename in the source code and then do a control period for it to go percolate that through the other spaces. So rather than me going doing Control RR, I tend to do it by changing the name and then using refactoring to go make the modification. But each to your own.